Guys, if you like Dragon Ball Hakai, today is the best day for you to subscribe to our Patreon. We started publishing about 3 pages a day of the next chapter of Dragon Ball Hakai. In addition, you will also have access to several other stories created by our team, including Dragon Ball Shinken. By collaborating with our Patreon, you help us keep Dragon Ball Hakai alive and have a lot of benefits. Become a member of our community too. The link is in the video description and in the pinned comment. I'm waiting for you there.
Previously, on Dragon Ball Kakumei, for some mysterious reason, Beerus decides to leave the God of Destruction's planet and return to his home planet to meet his father. What is the meaning of this? Goten and Trunks manage to complete the first stage of Whis' special training, and now they will begin the next challenges. In Sadala, the Saiyans' training continues at full intensity, and on Earth, the warriors also continue their training. What will be the next steps for our heroes? Find out now. Unfortunately, the latest Dragon Ball Kakumei videos are not reaching the likes and comments goals, and we are thinking of stopping uploading this manga because apparently many of you don't support the story. If you still want to see more Dragon Ball Kakumei videos here on the channel, like the video and also comment #Dragon Ball Kakumei or anything else related to this story. The goal for this video is 500 likes and 50 comments. It's a very easy goal to achieve, guys, so help us reach the goal if you still want us to bring you this manga. Also, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you haven't done so yet, so you won't miss the channel's next videos. Now let's get to the story. The name of chapter 10 is True Justice, and on the cover are the Prince of Saiyans from Universe 7, Vegeta, and the King of the Saiyans of Universe 6, Sadala. From the cover, it looks like these two are going to have some kind of confrontation in this chapter. Well, let's start. At the end of chapter 9, we saw that Beerus was leaving the God of Destruction's planet towards his home planet. This chapter begins with him finishing this trip, arriving on his home planet, which as we can see is very beautiful and has a surprisingly more pleasant climate than we expect from the home planet of a God of Destruction. Arriving at the place of his origins, Beerus is overcome by a nostalgic feeling, closing his eyes and smiling when he feels the breeze, saying he misses that feeling. This place is called Planet Gazy and is located on the border between Universes 6 and 7. Beerus lands from his flight. He is in a paradisiacal place with a very well preserved natural landscape and also some carefully crafted sculptures. He's not the only one in that place. Champa, his brother, is also there. Champa's behavior is not as irreverent as usual. On the contrary, he shows great respect for that place. Beerus comments without much surprise on the fact that his brother is there. Champa says he has been waiting him for a month. Champa was sitting in front of someone's grave, a grave to which Beerus pays the same reverence. With feelings of longing and respect overflowing in his eyes, Beerus tells his father that it has been over 1,000 years since he visited him. Champa asks Beerus how their father would act in this situation. All of this is giving him a headache. Beerus responds that their father would act much better than Champa. Champa tells Beerus to speak for himself. On the tomb, the name Per is written. Was that the name of the father of the 2 gods of destruction? So guys, what did you think of this whole scene on Beerus' home planet? Did you like the art? Did you like this more relaxed and fraternal interaction between Beerus and Champa? Comment what you think. On Planet Crepe, the Saiyan boys' training continues. Goten appears to be waking up from a faint, asking Whis if they made it. Trunks, who clearly woke up earlier, jokes that his friend must have slept well, remembering that the two passed out from exhaustion after going through the first phase of training. Whis wastes no time and says that they will now enter the second stage of training, which is to unlock their divine potential. This is crucial to reaching stage 3 of their preparation. Goten and Trunks are amazed when they discover that they will learn to use Divine Ki. Whis wishes them good luck. Suddenly, they are somewhere else. Whis welcomes them now to planet Lestia. He evokes with his staff 2 spheres containing Divine Ki and gives only one piece of advice: that they assimilate them. Goten and Trunks are surprised at how simple it is. The first asking if that's all, and the second suggesting that Whis is kidding. Whis says that's true. If they assimilate these spheres, this step will be completed. Goten and Trunks are excited by this simplicity and rush by jumping against the spheres, touching them to absorb. After that, Goten comments that it is something bearable. However, in the next second, the boys discover that it was not a good idea to act so hastily, with their bodies suffering a terrible side effect from absorbing this ki, evidenced by the violent spurt of blood. With a weird smile contrasting with the gravity of his speech, Whis apologizes for forgetting to mention that in millions of years, these two's parents were the only mortals who survived these spheres. It's a miracle they're still conscious. In utter agony, Goten asks what this is and what they should do. Trunks, showing a more voracious determination, exclaims that he will be stronger than his father. Goten tries to stand his ground, telling himself that he must endure. Trunks curses. The boys fall and the spheres come out of their bodies. Whis wonders if he overestimated them, despite the fact that these spheres are one of the least energy containing of any he has ever created. Goten asks if what Whis meant by assimilating them was keeping the spheres in their bodies. Whis answers yes, much to Goten's shock. Trunks, in thought, makes a determined oath. It appears that in Dragon Ball Kakumei, the method of achieving divine ki is through inserting that ki into the warrior, or at least that seems to be one of the methods. What did you think of this? Did you like this explanation, or were you expecting something more elaborate? Comment so I know. During this time, training intensifies. In Universe 6, Saiyans face the fields of action and limits of their potential, discovering thus, for some, unexpected aptitudes. However, someone doesn't seem to like the way things are going. That person is none other than King Sadala. The Majesty observes Vegeta's secret training with the main Saiyans from afar, accompanied by his robot guards. Vegeta notices the king's presence and interrupts his meditation, telling everyone that he will be back soon. This catches Kaba's attention. Vegeta flies away, reaching King Sadala in an instant. It seems that this is not the king's first visit to that training camp, as Vegeta comments that he has noticed that the sovereign comes more and more frequently to watch the Saiyans in exercise. He jokes that the next step is for the king himself to participate. Sadala, on the other hand, leaves no room for jokes, warning that Vegeta and his friends will leave the planet at dawn. Vegeta is obviously caught off guard by this attitude and asks angrily if the king is joking with him. Sadala is not, remembering that he warned him and then calling his guards into action. The robots promptly acts. Vegeta grabs the guards' halberds when they try to hit him and quickly throws them away as if they were mere bags of trash. The next movement is a punch towards the king's face, which is apparently stopped by Vegeta himself, who acts against his primitive warrior instincts in order to dialogue with the king. But Sadala doesn't want dialogue, he wants violence. A powerful punch from the monarch hits the distracted Vegeta, drawing blood from his mouth. Sadala says that for someone who used to teach his people how to defend themselves, Vegeta is pitiful. He claims that Vegeta and the others are traitors to his people. Noticing the confrontation that has begun, Broly asks what Vegeta did. Thrown by the power of King Sadala's blow, Vegeta crashes into a mountain at the same time that the monarch offends and chases him ready for more. Despite the injuries on his face, Vegeta smiles at seeing the true face of the pacifist king, revealing his hypocrisy. Sadala catches up with him with another blow, sending his visitor crashing into another rocky body. Digging himself out of the rocks, Vegeta admits that this guy is more powerful than he thought. Sadala prepares an attack that looks like a garlic gun. In response, Vegeta prepares what appears to be his Big Bang attack. They both scream at the same time, and a gigantic explosion takes place in the sky of Sadala afterwards. Protecting his companions, Kaba tells everyone to enter the barrier he just created. Both Vegeta and Sadala show injuries to their bodies and costumes due to the confrontation that just took place. However, none of them seem close to giving in. Vegeta goes on the attack, delivering a kick full of power that is directly held by Sadala. Seeing the strength of the planet's ruler, Vegeta asks why he didn't appear in the tournament against them, saying that he should have protected his own. With the other leg, the smaller Saiyan executes an upward kick to the larger Saiyan's chin, freeing his captured leg. Although the spit of his own blood is evidence of the damage of that kick to his body, Sadala gives Vegeta a challenging look, making it clear that this blow is far from enough. The Prince of the Saiyans of Universe 7 is impressed by the resistance of the King of the Saiyans of Universe 6, who retaliates the last blow with a punch precariously dodged by Vegeta, who holds Sadala's striking hand to try a direct punch also held by the Sovereign Saiyan. Vegeta again lands a kick to Sadala's jaw, forcing a retreat. Sadala prepares a counterattack by energizing his left hand. Vegeta predicts this blow with a smile, highlighting in his mind the predictability of the king's attacks. Sadala, however, surprises with a knee, which Vegeta hurries to block with a low defense. However, it was another feint to punch the Universe 7 warrior in the face. Vegeta curses Sadala and launches another blow, a powerful kick straight to the throat of the Saiyan King, who squirts his royal blood from his mouth while suffering from intense pain. Sadala uses this as an opportunity to capture Vegeta's leg again and then throw him towards the ground. The King of the Saiyans of Universe 6 says that such an offense has never been done to him by a Saiyan, and reiterates that Vegeta will leave this planet by force. He descends from the skies with maximum power, willing to continue with everything he has. Already on the ground and standing, Vegeta watches his opponent's arrival with a savage smile. In his mind, he admits that the fight is becoming interesting, but Sadala restricts his abilities. Vegeta returns to the confrontation, meeting halfway with the ruler of Sadala with their foreheads colliding violently, causing the blood of the two Saiyan royalty to splash as powerful electrical blasts and a strong impact wave extend to the surroundings due to the force and energy of their clash. Both are destabilized by the collision, their heads falling back. Vegeta recovers by spinning in the air to move forward again, a bloody smile on his face. Sadala resorts to energy attacks, firing a barrage of ki balls at the smaller warrior. Showing an extremely improved reading of the combat, Vegeta makes, in a fraction of a second, an entire millimeter calculation regarding his movement options. He closes his eyes, and when he opens them again, he shows the glow of Ultra Instinct. With the calculation already made, he lets the calm of the supposed Ultra Instinct give way to the fury of the Super Saiyan, moving forward to attack. Seeing this form in front of him, Sadala unexpectedly despairs. The proud king of the Saiyans of Universe 6 covers his eyes, cowering before the enemy that approaches in attack. The trauma and despair is visible in the king's eyes, completely surprising Vegeta and making him stop his fist. Vegeta undoes the transformation and demands from the king an explanation for why he has such a big problem with this form. For a while, Sadala is silent, recovering from whatever shook him. Below them, the Saiyans watch in astonishment at what has just happened. They ask themselves, in disbelief, if Vegeta defeated their king and also the consequences of that. Is he the new king now? Admiral Fennel orders everyone to return to training, clearly disapproving of all this questioning. Kaba wonders what Vegeta's intentions are with this. Sadala finally breaks his silence and answers Vegeta's question. He says that this golden-haired demonic form first took over his body the night Gherkin killed the previous king. The problem is that this form didn't just claim the lives of his enemies. Hundreds of innocent people suffered the consequences together. Women, children, and even brothers in arms. This transformation caused his hatred to become an endless rampage. Sadala has a clear image in his mind of a boy carrying his sister through the flames, a tragedy he created that still haunts him. The Sovereign reveals that he sees in this facet of his people only the manifestation of evil. A form accessible conditionally through hate cannot be healthy. It just drives everyone crazy. Vegeta remembers that Kaba achieved this transformation through a protective devotion to his people. Would a demon do that? Sadala retorts that you cannot be sure who your own people are once you understand that there is nothing more dangerous than a starving man. He probably means that given the savage nature of the Super Saiyan, there is no way to fully predict what someone like that can do, since he has felt this uncontrolled fury in his own skin. Vegeta doesn't like these words, responding that people's definition comes through their actions, and no one should be reduced to transformations. it's not right to dictate who a person is just by forms. He argues that the Super Saiyan is a weapon like any other, which must be used wisely. Sadala sees in Vegeta's eyes a heavy burden that seems to come from the bottom of his soul. He asks, "What is this?" Vegeta says that in the past, he massacred entire peoples for pure pleasure. Sadala thinks this reinforces his argument, reaffirming that this transformation made Vegeta go crazy. However, Vegeta clarifies that at that time, the Super Saiyan was just a legend that he even doubted. This surprises Sadala. Vegeta says that everything is fine for him now, and it's time for Sadala to get rid of his burden too. King Sadala reflects on these words for a moment. He remembers that Kaba used to tell him that Vegeta is a man who loved his people, and asks what made him change and realize his bad actions. Vegeta receives this question with a smile. He responds that he would like to say it's just because of his wife and children, but the truth is that he owes it to an encounter with a warrior greater than himself. A few years ago, he discovered where true happiness and justice reside. Vegeta says that Earth, the warrior's planet that was attacked by him, ended up becoming his home, and he started his family there. Without this guy, Vegeta wouldn't be who he is today. It was precisely with each transformation, each time he surpassed himself, that Vegeta admired him more and more. The Super Saiyan opened his eyes to his friend. Sadala remained silent, his values and thoughts noticeably shaken by those words and revelations. Vegeta observes that Sadala fell and didn't know how to get up. He says he understands Sadala and would probably act even less wisely in his place. Sadala stares at him, perhaps in doubt. Vegeta extends his hand, as Goku once did to him, despite not physically. Sadala sees reason in the words said to him, remembering his brothers and recognizing that it is really time to say goodbye. King and Prince shake hands, sealing a bond of companionship once and for all. Below, everyone watches with a feeling of approval. A shout of joy is given shortly afterwards, preceding a moment of celebration. And so, seeing the Saiyans who laughed, King Sadala understood the true value of things. Finally, we had this confrontation and reckoning between Vegeta and King Sadala. What did you think of their fight and argument? I liked the combat itself, but I expected Sadala to be more powerful. As he refuses to use Super Saiyan, all the power he uses is in base form, and as we saw, he in base form is more or less at the same level as base Vegeta. This means that base Vegeta, or at most Super Saiyan Vegeta, would be enough to beat the king. We saw in the Dragon Ball Super tournaments, he and Goku used the other Super Saiyans to fight against Kaba, Kale and Caulifla. So are these three kids more powerful than the king? Anyway, I expected a little more. I haven't read the entire manga yet, so maybe I'll be surprised by something in the future. But for now, I'm left with a bitter taste towards the king of Universe 6 Saiyans. And you, if you like this part, comment now Vegeta versus King Sadala, and then I'll know that you liked it. If you didn't think it was cool, comment Sadala is weak. Well, let's continue with the story. On Earth in Universe 7, Videl seems to be doing something with her father and encouraging him. Surprisingly, Mr. Satan is learning to fly. Everyone participates for the war in own way. Even the weakest are making their contributions. But will they be ready in time? Videl is happy to see her father able to fly, even if precariously. In his mind, Mr. Satan thinks about Majin Buu and guarantees that he will bring him back. In Universe 14, an angel's magical staff shines, observed by a mysterious being. In Universe 0, apparently an explosion happens in the ice barrier created by Daishinkan. Will our warriors be ready to face a threat that they can't even imagine yet? With this question, Chapter 10 and also the second volume of Dragon Ball Kakumei end. In Volume 3, we see this magnificent cover of the man who appeared at the end of Chapter 10 and also Jiren. And as the cover of Chapter 11, we have this guy again and two other characters flying in the background. The name of Chapter 11 is Amaron, the Venerable Heir. Judging by the name of the chapter, this mysterious man's name is Amaron. The chapter begins with Amaron being woken up by one of those guys on the cover, who respectfully calls him the Venerable Heir. This guy who just woke Amaron up says he doesn't know what happened and that he has a huge gap in his memory. He suggests that Amaron knows something about this. Amaron denies it with a nod. Shortly afterwards, this servant shows Amaron a door while telling him that when he woke up a few minutes before Amaron, this door was locked under a spell. However, it was a primary spell, nothing for a brilliant wizard like him. Amaron asks about someone named Salaga. The short wizard calls him in a direction, and he goes. When the door opens, a ray of light enters that dark place, dazzling Amaron's eyes, which are certainly sensitive after a likely long sleep. They are in a place called Planet Bread in Universe 14, a place apparently lit by an eclipsed sun, sending thin rays of light across the various mountains surrounded by clouds. Amaron's short servant assumes his master's surprise and says that it was the same with him. Amaron notices someone approaching, a man with some injuries, that kneels before him. That person is Salaga. Amaron asks what happened to his outfit. Salaga explains that it was impossible for him to wake Amaron, so he took the initiative to go out. When he found himself in the situation of facing hordes of creatures made of pure energy, he had to adapt to the situation, knowing that each of their blows drained his vitality. He had to be patient and managed to copy their vitality absorption ability, so he managed to surpass them. Salaga seems very pleased, stating that the fight was hard, but not without experience gained, and his mission to protect his lord was successful. Using his magic to heal Salaga, the wizard praises him, saying that he was impressive as always. Amaron seems calmer now that he understands the situation, although he does not pay any compliments to his apparently devoted servant. Salaga seems a little hesitant to say this, but ends up working up the courage and saying that these enchantments are very similar to those used by Lord Drommel, the god of destruction. The smaller man says this is absurd, and Lord Drommel would never lock them up like that. However, he is impressed when Amaron agrees with Salaga, saying that he also concluded this, emphasizing that any mental contact with him or Zeres is impossible, and suggesting going to his planet, ordering Dula to summon the mothership. Just to remind you, Zeres is the angel of Universe 14. Dula seems to be the name of this wizard servant. Dula quickly complies. He moves away from the others, claps his hands, then lowers them and then raises them while emanating ki. In the clouds below the mountain they are on, a huge commotion begins, and the next moment, a gigantic ship appears. Dula is very pleased and perhaps even relieved, commenting that it seems like ages since he has used his powers. In fact, it does. Salaga looks closely at his lord, and performing one of his techniques, he seems to see Amaron internally. He notices that his heartbeat is irregular, and his blood pressure is unstable. Salaga calls out to the venerable heir, who gives him his attention. The servant then tells his master that, regardless of what may have happened, Amaron will make the right decisions. These words seem to cause Dula tension in some way. Amaron responds that he does not intend to make decisions. On Earth, Pan trains in combat with Piccolo, giving her best in attacks that her master defends with great calm. A kick aimed at the face seems to surprise Piccolo, but he still dodges and captures her by her clothes. Holding her, Piccolo says that she has no idea what her father had to go through to have the privilege of training with him. The answer is the girl's tongue. Angry, Piccolo throws her into the air, demanding that she show him that she is worthy. Pan stops in the air and advances again, descending at high speed towards him. Piccolo waits patiently and calmly until suddenly the girl suffers a speed burst that leaves her master astonished. The punch hits Piccolo directly in the mouth, shocking him. Pan reduces her ki and retreats. She releases many energy particles from her body. Saunel and Pilina, who are watching everything, look at each other. Surprise and discontent seem to be present in them. Pilina admits in his thoughts that he didn't expect that. Piccolo snaps his neck to relieve himself and puts on his heavy suit again, giving his verdict on Pan, stating that in terms of physical training, they have already made a lot of progress. But rest is also important. They should not rush things and use the time they have appropriately. Saunel doesn't like this idea at all, wondering if it's really a good plan to relax given the situation. Piccolo says he misinterpreted it. They will not just relax, but will do another type of training. It is also necessary to forge your mind and sharpen your knowledge. Saunel and Pilina don't quite understand what he's saying. Piccolo says they taught him a lot about their race, but the Namekian history in this universe is also interesting. Piccolo will now tell something he didn't tell them before. He's not the only Namekian on this planet. Saunel already expected that. He was alarmed by his intuition before. Piccolo looks at the sky and informs that at the highest point of this planet, beyond the skies, in a sanctuary inaccessible by most common means, lives the god of Earth, who is the person he respects most in the world. Meanwhile, in Universe 14, Amaron, the venerable heir, arrives on planet Dromel with his servants to find the god of destruction and clean up everything that happened. As our warriors continue their journeys of preparation for the war to come, on the other side, a mysterious being wakes up who seems to have some special value. What will be Amaron's next steps, and how will our heroes continue on their journeys? Find out in the next chapters of Dragon Ball Kakumei. If you've made it this far, don't forget to like the video to help us reach our goal. And also comments, Vegeta versus Amaron, so I know who the real warriors are who made it to the end. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next videos, and share this video with someone you know who is a Dragon Ball fan. If you want to support the channel, do so through a super thanks and also through our Patreon. The link is in the video description and in the pinned comment. A big hug to everyone who has stuck with me this far, and see you in the next video.